Ever feel like, I don't know, you're kind of killing it in like all these different areas of your life, but there's this voice, right? This voice in your head that just keeps asking, but are you really asterisk? Really asterisk good enough? You know what I mean? Like crushing it at work, learning that new language you've always wanted to, maybe even like perfected your sourdough bread recipe. But still, that feeling sticks around.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a common thing.
Yeah.
And especially for those of you listening who, who think of yourselves as polymaths,
Yeah.
people drawn to a whole bunch of different things, different fields, different passions. It's almost like the more you actually achieve,
Yeah.
the more you realize just how much is out there, how much there is to learn, to really, really master.
Right. And it's such a weird thing because it's like, on one hand, being multi-passionate, it's like this superpower,
Yeah.
this ability to explore all these different things. But then on the other hand, you're constantly comparing yourself to like the specialists, right?
Yeah.
The folks who have spent like literally their entire lives dedicated to, I don't know, mastering the violin or something.
And that is exactly where this whole deep dive on imposter syndrome comes in.
Yeah.
And, well, the power of reflection, too. See, for polymaths, it's not just about saying, okay, yeah, lean into all your interests and just leaving it at that. It's about understanding how reflecting, like really reflecting, can be, I don't know, almost like a secret weapon, to fight off those feelings of not being good enough and start to actually see your many interests, your many skills as a strength.
Okay, I like that because I'll be honest, when I hear reflection, I usually tune out a little. It just sounds like every other self-help buzzword out there. But you're saying it's more essential than that.
Way more. The truth is, polymaths are almost hardwired to be um, more susceptible to imposter syndrome. Think about it. You're constantly exposed to all these different fields, right?
Yeah.
And each one has its own rock stars, its own experts, its own like child prodigies. So it's not even just comparing yourself within one field. It's like you're doing it across multiple asterisk domains.
Oh man, that's so true. It's like you're constantly doing these mental gymnastics in your head. One minute you're comparing your photography to someone else's, the next minute it's like your coding skills. And then, I don't know, suddenly you're worried about how much you don't know about like ancient philosophy or something. No wonder it's so easy to feel like you're never really measuring up.
Exactly. And that's why this whole reflection thing is so important.
Hmm.
Because without it, well, you're kind of stuck, right? Stuck in this cycle of just focusing on what you haven't mastered yet. On what you asterisk, don't asterisk, no.
Yeah.
And you totally miss out on the value of, the value of those interdisciplinary skills you've been developing.
It's like that saying, right? Can't see the forest for the trees. You get so caught up in these individual trees of knowledge, these individual skills, you forget to look around at the whole forest. You forget that it's the connections, the big picture perspective that makes it all so unique.
Exactly. I mean, think about someone like Leonardo da Vinci, right? The ultimate Renaissance polymath. Painter, sculptor, inventor, engineer, the list goes on. But imagine if he'd spent all his time comparing his anatomical drawings to like actual dedicated anatomists or his engineering projects to, I don't know, like master bridge builders.
He probably would have missed out on realizing how all those seemingly different things, all those passions, could actually work together, how they could like inform and inspire each other.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to really dig into today. How can we actually use asterisk reflection, not just as a feel-good thing, but as a way to really shift our perspective, quiet that inner critic, and finally step into the, I don't know, I guess, the power of being a polymath.
So, okay, that all sounds great in theory, right? But how do we actually asterisk this reflecting thing and like do it in a way that actually helps us, move forward? Because I don't know about you, but I can't just say I'm reflecting now and magically transform into Leonardo da Vinci.
Haha. Yeah, I hear you. It definitely takes a little more than just wishful thinking, I guess. But the good news is it doesn't need to be this big, complicated thing.
Yeah.
It can be as simple as, something you've probably heard a million times before, journaling.
Journaling, huh? Okay, I'll admit, that one always makes me think of, like, high school diaries and, well, I don't know. How does that actually help with, like, imposter syndrome? Especially for us polymath types.
So think of it this way. It's not really about what you're writing. It's more about what you're focusing on, right?
Right.
So instead of just writing down, like, your to-do list or your appointments or whatever, try taking a few minutes each day to really think about, your accomplishments, even the small ones,
Okay, so, like, instead of pick up the dry cleaning, finish that presentation, finally learn ancient Greek, it's more like, nailed that client pitch asterisk, and asterisk managed to translate, like, a whole paragraph of Plato today, boom!
Yes, Exactly. Basically taking those wins, those little victories, and you're making them real. You're creating this record of your progress. Because here's the thing about imposter syndrome. It feeds off of that feeling of it's never enough, you know?
Yeah.
But when you actually start to like pay attention to those wins, even the small ones, you're building a case against all that negative self-talk.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like you build a wall one brick at a time, right? Each little win, each new skill, it's like another brick in this wall of confidence that you're building.
Love that analogy.
Right.
And over time, that wall, it gets pretty impressive, even if some of those bricks seem small at the time.
Right.
Now, journaling is great, don't get me wrong, but there's another technique that I think is super powerful too, revisiting past projects.
Oh, yeah. See, this one I can get behind. I actually love going back and looking at old projects, seeing how far I've come, how much I've learned since then. But how does that tie into, like, the whole imposter syndrome battle as a polymath?
Okay, so think about a time when you worked on something, a project that actually required you to use a bunch of different skills, right? Maybe you designed and coded a website, but you also did all the graphics, even wrote all the copy yourself. It'd be easy to look at that and be like, well, I'm just a jack of all trades, master of none.
Right.
Ugh.
Tell me about it. I think that's like the polymath anthem or something. Jack of all trades.
Right. But here's the key. When you go back and look at those projects again, try to see them through this new lens, this asterisk, reflective asterisk lens, right? Don't focus on what you would do differently now. Instead, think about how your ability to do all those different things, to connect those dots, how that actually contributed to the success of the project.
So instead of seeing our dabbling as a bad thing, we should be celebrating it, like recognizing that being able to pull from all these different areas, it actually gives us this like unique advantage.
Exactly. And that's where creating a portfolio can be really helpful too. Not even just for showing other people, but for yourself, like as a reminder of everything you've accomplished, you know, all that multifaceted brilliance.
This is making me think about like Marie Curie. Talk about a polymath rock star, right? I mean, she wins 2 Nobel Prizes in two asterisk different sciences, basically invents a whole new field of science, really. And it makes you wonder, what if she'd let those feelings of not being good enough get in the way? Would she have done any of that?
Right. And that's the thing about being a polymath. You have this amazing potential, you know, to make these incredible breakthroughs that other people might miss because they're stuck in their lane. But it's so easy to forget that when we're constantly being told to specialize, to niche down, to be the best at this asterisk, one asterisk thing.
It's like everyone wants to put us in these tiny little boxes when our brains are more like, I don't know, these huge overgrown gardens with paths connecting all these unexpected things.
And sometimes it's those unexpected connections that lead to the most beautiful, the most innovative creations. We just have to trust the process, right? And reflection, that's a huge part of it.
It really is like, I don't know, charting these new territories, but in our minds, right? Like we're these explorers making these new connections between all these different ideas, these different skills. But, and I'm sure you know what I mean sometimes, exploring, it's exhausting. And that makes me think about something we haven't really touched on yet. Like we've talked about reflecting to, you know, recognize our accomplishments, but how do we actually celebrate asterisk them? Because honestly, sometimes just making it to the end of the day, that feels like a win in itself.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's so easy to just keep going, right?
Yeah.
Always focused on that next thing, that next challenge. We forget to just like pause and actually acknowledge how far we've come already.
It's like our brains are these, I don't know, like high-powered engines or something, always running, always looking for more fuel. But even engines need to like stop and get a tune-up every now and then, right?
Such a good point. And that's where celebrating those wins comes in. It's not about being all, look at me, look at me.
Okay.
It's more about, well, kind of hitting the pause button on that never enough message we're always giving ourselves, you know? It's about letting ourselves actually internalize those achievements. And the cool thing is there's actually science behind this, you know? Studies show that when we celebrate wins, big or small, it releases dopamine, that feel-good chemical in our brains. And that actually helps us build stronger self-belief, you know? It rewires our brains for more confidence.
So it's not just about feeling good in the moment. It's like we're actually changing how we see ourselves, how we see what we're capable of doing long term.
Exactly. Think of it like, I don't know, working out a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing with positive self-affirmation. The more you practice it, the stronger that belief in yourself becomes.
Okay, I'm convinced. Sell me on some practical tips. Like, how can we actually celebrate these wins? Especially as polymaths with, you know, our interests all over the place.
It really can be super simple. Sometimes the smallest gestures mean the most,
Mhm.
you know? So, like, maybe start by keeping a win list. Every time you achieve something, you finish a project, you learn a new skill. Heck, even just have a really productive day, write it down.
I love that. Like a gratitude journal, but like for accomplishments.
Yes, exactly. And get creative with it. You could, like, make it visual, make a wall of fame with pictures or certificates or even just Post-it notes with positive affirmations on them.
Ooh, or how about this? A playlist of like our favorite pump up songs, something to blast when we need to remind ourselves how awesome we are.
Yes, love it.
Huh.
The point is to find what works for you, right? Something that feels genuine and actually makes you happy.
Well said. So, as we wrap things up here, is there one thing, one big takeaway that you really hope our listeners, walk away with today?
I guess if I had to pick one thing, it would be this. If you're someone who's passionate about a lot of different things, embrace it. Don't hide it. Being a polymath, it's a gift, not a curse, even if it doesn't always feel that way. Don't let the pressure to be the best at one specific thing dim your shine. Take the time to reflect on your journey, celebrate your wins, and never, ever underestimate how powerful your unique perspective is. This world, it needs people who can connect the dots, who can see things from all these different angles. We need polymaths.
Because you never know that unique path you're on, that's what could lead to the next big breakthrough. And that's our show for today. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. And remember, the most amazing journey you can take is the one through your own incredible, multifaceted mind.